Thank you, Michelle. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great honor today to welcome you to the United States Center for Citizen Diplomacy Plenary Luncheon on U.S. Citizen and International Perspective. Today, we will get a chance to hear from distinguished experts of individuals from all around the world on the topic of U.S. citizen diplomacy and international perspective. Each of our panelists today brings a unique knowledge in public diplomacy that will help us further broaden our perspective on U.S. citizen diplomacy and its power to cultivate a meaningful relationship between people, culture, and nations. Today's plenary session will begin with a panel discussion and will be followed by questions from the audience. All in attendance are invited to participate by submitting these written questions to the moderator, Mr. David Martins. So with that, I want to introduce our panelists, and I want to start with Dr. Ali Fuat from Turkey. Ali Fuat is the Director General of the Yunus Institut. I want to also welcome Mr. Christoph Bartmann. Christoph Bartmann is currently the head of the Culture and Information Department in the Goethe Institute head office in Munich. Ms. Delphine Borione, the head of the Office for Culture Policy and French Language, the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Martin Davies, the CEO of the British Council, and has been since 2007, and has served prior to that as a Deputy Director General. The British Council, for all of you, is probably Britain's largest cultural exchange tool worldwide. I want to also welcome Dr. Chu Lin. She is the Counsellor of the State Council of the People's Republic of China and the Director General of the HANBAN and the Chief Executive of the Confucius Institute headquarters. I want to also welcome Atsuko Nishimura. Atsuko Nishimura is the Administrative Vice President of Japan's Foundation, which is the principal organization specializing in international cultural exchange in Japan. And finally, I want to welcome Mr. Pawel Potoroczyn. He has been the director of the Adam Mickiewicz Institute since 2008. Like all of the others, again, the Adam Mickiewicz Institute is Poland's cultural exchange tool to the world. So here we are with a group of experts who represent Institute that brings the world closer to their country and bring their country closer to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Martin Davidson. Thank you.
Emre, thank you very much indeed for that introduction. Thank you also, the US Center for Citizen Diplomacy, David Rowe and Shoddy, for your invitation to us to take part in this really very important conference. We're delighted to be here, and I'm delighted that colleagues from around the world have taken the time to come and be part of this conference, because I think it is an indication of how important we feel it is that we share our knowledge, we share best practice, and we also build a stronger sense of international collaboration in this vitally important area of work. We, of course, because we come from different places, approach this issue of citizen diplomacy, cultural relations in different ways, and I hope that through the conversation over the next 50 minutes or so, we'll perhaps explore some of the differences, but also some of the similarities and ways in which we might be able to find ways to work together more fully in the future. I hope we're going to find time for some questions from the audience. I'm afraid if we don't, you'll have to put it down to my bad moderating. But we're going to start off, rather than having a series of presentations, we're going to try and have a conversation between those of us on the panel about some of the issues which we think are important in how to develop citizen diplomacy around the world. And I'd like to kick off, if I may, with you, Christoph, to ask the question, in your experience, what is the most effective way in which we build citizen-to-citizen, people-to-people relationships worldwide?
Yeah, thank you very much. To start, thanks to you, Martin, and the British Council, and thanks to the US Center for Citizen Diplomacy for inviting me from Germany to this summit. From the few things I've heard, I must say, because I arrived only yesterday in the evening, I'm deeply impressed about the concept and the policy or politics of citizen diplomacy. And this was not that very familiar to me earlier. And I started immediately reflecting my role as somebody who works for the Goethe Institute, which is not a governmental institution and which is definitely not an NGO, but something in between. So I wondered and reflected my role. What is it? What can governments do best? What can individuals or organized individuals do best? And what can possibly institutions like ours do best? But it's all different. It's different from country to country, and it's different from institution to institution. As coming from Germany, I want to say one thing, maybe in advance. I started also reflecting the role American cultural policy played in the years after the Second World War. And I somehow remembered how important American people, citizens, American diplomats, American institutions have been in the process of re-establishing democracy in Germany. And this was done as a collective action of politics, of governments, of institutions, of people, of wonderful programs like the Fulbright, like Henry Kissinger's Harvard Summer School, and this somehow shaped the image of the United States for a whole generation of Germans. And now, okay, it's not again and any longer maybe America and Germany, it's maybe new parts of the world, it's more important problems, it's climate change, it is the dialogue with the Muslim world, but still I think that this idea of re-establishing democracy through cultural dialogue deserves attention and hopefully will find successors, not only in the German-American dialogue, but in many other dialogues. Coming to your question, there is maybe not the master skill or the master discipline in people-to-people dialogue. It's so multi-layered and so multifaceted. Maybe one thing only to say here in this situation, I think it needs substance. It needs a medium. And there are so many media. And I think these many organizations that you represent, they also represent possible media of cultural dialogue, or of dialogue in general, of people-to-people communication. It can be sports. It can be religion. It can be the arts. It can be crafts. It can be fashion. It can be so many things. But it works the better, the more it has a substance in some common interest. So the dialogue in itself, maybe the interest in having a dialogue maybe is not enough. We need some sort of substance given through various media of common interest and attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Pawel, just coming to you, we were talking a little bit earlier about the issue of skills for cultural relations, for citizen diplomacy. It's not something which you just pick up, but actually there is a skill base in there. Perhaps you'd like to reflect a little bit on that.
Well, my institution has launched first in the Central Europe postgraduate program in cultural diplomacy. We are responsible in a way in recruiting, training, and rotating the staff for Polish cultural missions. I completely agree. It takes so much more than just skills. We are actually hoping to train certain personalities, and let me tell you why. I'm sure that many of you in this room share the experience that whenever you first approach a CEO of a national institution or a high authority or a public office or a corporate executive, usually you reach assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the assistant. By the time you reach the assistant, the proper assistant, usually the first question is, what's the purpose of your call? Is it personal or business? And I have quickly learned to answer, it's a personal business. And this is exactly the kind of people I think should run this business. Those who have very highly, ultimately, and profoundly personal approach to what they do. It doesn't only include the complete, total knowledge of the product, one's culture. It also includes a certain will to communicate it, will to share, and will to tell the truth. Because when it comes down to it, if you look at the basic difference between traditional diplomacy, or let's say conventional diplomacy, and the cultural diplomacy, I would say that conventional hardcore diplomacy does the business, while cultural diplomacy tells the truth. No matter how complicated, complex, sometimes inconvenient this truth could be. And in that sense, this skill or will to be truthful is one of the foundations of efficient business.
Delphine, just building on that, we've talked about what is effective and some of the skill issues, but what are some of the obstacles in your experience, in the experience of the French cultural institutes, in actually taking forward that cultural relationship, that public diplomacy agenda?
So it's we have, of course, a long experience as having, for example, in London, an institute for 100 years, or in other countries, very recent one. And we can see that action has to always be adapted to the situation, what's going on. And in a globalized world as today, so many things have changed so quickly. And people have also, in relationship, both have opportunities for communication, for having information all around the world, and on the same time, we can see that there are also some misunderstandings or some fears developing, and we have to bridge that. And that is why we have to develop new means to reach all the people, and the issue of public, when we have a cultural action, when we have these cultural relations, is very important to reach not only those who are the most easy to reach, but to find people which have no means, which are living in areas which are more remote, to have, and we have to find projects we can reach those people. And it is possible, but it requires much more efforts. And also, I think another issue which is very important is when we can develop a very beautiful project, but when it stops, we have to ensure that there is something remaining. That is why training, empowerment of the people with which we are developing this relation is important. So that when there is, for example, a spectacle, which is a theater piece or a movie, we have master classes to train those young people who want to learn. We have to continue the action so that the cultural relation has a continuity, and then that relationship, direct partnership, can be established. But only a few of those challenges, because of course there are so many in order to make this relation more stable, more deep, and also to provide more in-depth understanding, indeed.
I think that this issue of sustainability, of moving away from one-off interventions to a continuing building of relationship is a really important issue for us all. And being able to ensure that we are able to continue with that engagement in a way which actually turns into a positive set of relationships for the future is probably one of the biggest challenges we have. I don't know, Madam Nishimura, in the case of Japan and the Japan Foundation, how have you tried to tackle that issue of sustainability so that there is something left behind after a particular set of interventions?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so first of all, I'd like to join the previous speakers in thanking the organizers of this event for giving us this wonderful opportunity to present our foundation, because our foundation recently has been increasing our efforts for strengthening the cooperation and partnership among the peoples to tackle the global issues facing the international society. I think one of the way to sustain the collaboration among the people transnationally is to foster or strengthen the joint efforts or collaboration in order to tackle the issue of common interest for them. And in that sense, I'd like to speak of our experience in the United States. We have a center specializing in the exchange or dialogue with the people of the United States. And I'd like to draw your attention that this center is officially named as a Center for Global Partnership, because this center's objective is not only to strengthen the dialogue between our two people, but to strengthen the cooperation or partnership among the people of the two nations. And for instance, recently we did a project called the Interaction Program for Hurricane Katrina. Through this project, we arranged the encounter or interaction between the people of the city of New Orleans, who had suffered severely from the Hurricane Katrina, and the people of the city of Kobe, who experienced the severe damage of a big earthquake in 1995. And through the interaction of these two cities' actors involved in the recovery or reconstruction efforts, they established a networking, and so they could sustain their communication in order to tackle the issue of a common interest, that is, how to strengthen the resilience for the big disaster. So I think this kind of approach is very effective in order to sustain the people's networking efforts or collaboration among them. So I think this summit's approach, where you highlight the major challenging issue for the global society, resonates our foundation's approach.
Thank you. Madam Xu, you as the head of the Confucius Institute network have expanded your work hugely across the world over the last few years. And I think you were saying earlier you have more than 70 institutes here in the United States. I was wondering if you would perhaps reflect a little bit, trying to move this more towards collaboration with the United States, how that collaboration is actually working, and some of the things that you've learned about how collaboration with institutions in the United States is most effective.
Okay. So, first of all, I want to say for me, this is the first time I talk in this way in Chinese, because only wedding time, so many people and sit down people and and yeah. But okay. This is the first time. I always stand up to say something and never sit to talk. And also my major was not English, so I hope everybody like me make a little bit more relaxed than just know. My colleagues, my friends, just very serious to say something. Okay, compare with UK, with British Council, with Goethe Institute, with Alliance Française, with JICA, also with Poland, Confucius Institute. That means HANBAN as a Confucius Institute headquarters. We only have 6 years old. That means we start from 2004. And now we already in 96 countries have more than 300 Confucius Institutes and also Confucius classrooms who are set up in middle schools. In U.S., always be the pioneer in every area for Confucius Institute. Now, American is number one for figure, for heart, for cooperate tightly with China. You just know my friend Martin said we already cooperate with U.S. universities and middle schools together. Already have 71 Confucius institutes and also more than 200 classrooms in the middle school. And during the cooperation, we learn a lot from U.S. Exactly, because we since 2005 we have sent how many more? Okay, 1,500 teachers from China, and also we welcome and we accepted more than 10,000 principals or students visited China. So we really think the people to people and the heart to heart. And for the young generation, we just like maybe American with China, especially for people with people like what? Like lovers. We miss the long years, but only recently years we met and we found very necessary to know each other. And also now we are in a honey period, so everybody happy.
I love the idea that we're really still lovers behind it all. And I love the idea that this is a wedding feast. Because in many ways it is, because it's about how are we going to find ways that we're going to perhaps fall in love and marry each other and stay a little bit closer together in the future as well. So great analogy.
Only love, no marriage.
There I am, rejected within the first 30 seconds. Professor Bilkan, coming to you. Yunus Emre is perhaps the newest of the cultural organisations which have been established, and you've got I think a really you're building at an incredibly impressive rate. Where do you see for Turkey, perhaps if I could use the new kid on the block in some senses, what do you see as this enterprise? What is it going to do for Turkey? Why is Turkey investing in this way?
Good afternoon. I will speak Turkish. Yunus Emre Türkiye için ne yapabilir? Bir defa dünya içinde, Türkiye içinde yapacağı şeyler var.
What Yunus Emre Institute can do. Yunus Emre Institute has things to do for the nation itself, for Turkey and for the world.
Yunus Emre 13. yüzyılda yaşamış bir Sufi şair.
He is a poet who lived in 13th century in Turkey.
Tarihe baktığımızda yıkımların yaşadığı, Moğolların insanlık adına olan bütün değerleri alt üst ettiği bir dönemi hatırlarız.
When we look at the history, this century will remind us Mongolian vandalism all the time.
Terörün insanlık değerlerinin alt üst ettiği ve ortadan kaldırmaya yönelik olduğu bir dönemi hatırlarız.
There was a time during Mongols that always reminds us the terrorism and their crimes against humanity.
İşte tam bu çağda bir Sufi çıkıyor ve bir barış dili, sevgi dili ve insanlık değerlerini yeniden onarmaya çalışıyor.
Yunus Emre came at this time and he brought the language of peace and he tried to build the human integrity again and human values.
Biz ilhamımızı bundan aldık. Yani evrensel bir barışı, sevgi dilini ve insanlık değerlerini onarmayı hedefleyen bir felsefi esas aldık.
So when we established Yunus Emre Institute, it was our values and goals were based on Yunus Emre's philosophy of humanity and love and peace.
Zannedersem insanlığın bu dönemde en çok ihtiyaç duyduğu değerlerin başında bunlar geliyor.
I think that as human beings, these are the values that we need the most.
Thank you. Pawel, you've worked in the US. You've worked with the US for a very long time. What have you seen the way in which the United States takes forward this area of citizen diplomacy? What has been perhaps the area that you have seen which has impressed you most, and where you see opportunity for greater collaboration?
Well, I first came to this country in 1989 as a guest of United States Information Agency. It was shortly after the Solidarity movement has won the election in Poland. The Berlin Wall was still up back then. Throughout the 80s, I ran underground clandestine publishing house beyond the reach of censorship. Those of you who know term samizdat know what I'm talking about. And in the June of 1989, I woke up not a dissident anymore, not a rebel anymore. I woke up entrepreneur, a businessman. I badly wanted know-how. We knew how to print, distribute illegal books, but we didn't know how to market them in a free market economy. We didn't know, we knew very little about royalties, believe it or not. So actually USA came to the rescue, came to civilize the publishing industry in Poland. There was a group of 8 publishers from the underground on this tour. The tour went for 30 days. In 30 days, we had 36 flights. In Memphis, Tennessee, I transferred 4 times on this trip. So I didn't only become an expert in terms of publishing industry in the States, but also an expert in terms of the airlines. And that was the immediate impact of this study tour. I'm emphasizing the concept of study visits as absolutely pivotal, as a crucial to the international cultural exchange. The other impact of this study visit of mine was that shortly thereafter, I shut down the publishing house and became a diplomat. I just found out that I can contribute more to the cultural exchange as a diplomat, as a cultural diplomat, than as a publisher. And the third impact, the third effect of this visit is that my first appointment was in Los Angeles, California, the second appointment in New York City. And the fourth, and not the last one, probably the most important one for the sake of this conversation, and again, let me emphasize the vitality and the importance of programs of study visits. When I took over the Adam Mickiewicz Institute 2 years ago, the organization was hosting 15 to 20 study visits a year. By the end of this year, we'll have 900 international visitors to Poland. In less than 3 years. That's how actually this USA experience that I still have a very vivid, very fond memory is absolutely of a formative importance to me, and I cannot emphasize it enough. Thank you very much.
It is a terrible realization, isn't it, when you suddenly wake up and you find your establishment not a rebel any longer. Delphine, the same sort of question to you. Again, you've seen cultural relations around the world in a very, very full career. What's your reflection on how the US actually is involved in this area of work?
Yeah, I can see that what makes really this country also so dynamic all around the world is because initiatives come from all the people and at all levels. And we can see that there are corporations very active from private foundations, people, I can mention Florence Gould, or we have also a foundation where Mr. and Mrs. Wilmers has provided funding for exchange of students between France and the US. And thanks to these people, and thanks to, of course, our government's efforts, there are hundreds of students which can cross Atlantic and know each other, study, make this really build their own future thanks to this funding and exchanges. And in all sectors of our activities, we find people which are committed to provide these exchanges, to allow American young people to know what is done in France in the field of arts, or field of university or others, and same for French people to come here and enrich themselves by these exchanges. And I think this capacity of the American society to change things because of private initiative is really very important. And on the other side, you find also people which are dedicated to helping, people which I was mentioning, people which don't have the funding, don't have money. And we have created, for example, this initiative called French Heritage. You have Americans which have also French language, come from Haiti or from Caribbean or from West African. And we have developed with the parents, with American funding also, these exchanges to help those children to grow up, develop their linguistic capacity, but also it's a factor of social cohesion. It's also allow research in finding how people from poor origin or which are not really integrated can integrate better through language, through education, and through cooperation with another country. So I think all these examples of this cooperation really are remarkable, and we can see also. I've worked a lot abroad, and I worked in particular also for a UN organization, the World Food Programme, how you can find American volunteers, the big NGOs or small NGOs. I mean, all these civil society forces which are working to relate, to help, to provide aid abroad. And I think that's very important. And I always have had excellent relationships. So it was very... And of course, also human relationship, because also the first time I came to Washington was on a private basis. It was cherry blossom, and I will never forget Washington in this time now.
Christoph, just thinking a little bit, U.S. culture is so incredibly powerful around the world. The U.S. pop culture, Hollywood, the influence, incredible power of the individual in America to do things, which I think is perhaps certainly, it seems to me, different from us in the UK. But in what way do you think the US can actually engage with Germany to be most effective? What is the way in which the US is going to actually really make a difference in building that relationship with Germany?
It's a very interesting question, and I don't have a very quick answer to it, but would we really want the US to go back to the old days of having American libraries and American houses and the things I loved it. When I was a student, we went there almost every day because it was so important. But this was already then not the only source of information about America, because American is a cultural superpower and it is everywhere. And even without libraries, we would buy the books and listen to the music and watch the films and whatever. Maybe some inspiration might come from this summit here, because we have something maybe the Americans don't have. We have these strong national cultural institutions, which more and more tend to internationalize, by the way. So we have close cooperations, one institution with the other. But we have this tradition of strong national cultural institutions. But you have this tradition of citizenship and civil society and creating new initiatives, maybe not with, say, because the state wants you to do so, because you do it from your own needs and your own inspiration. And I think we somehow could combine these two ideas, the idea of the semi-governmental national cultural institutes and the idea of this citizen diplomacy. But one could somehow try to put these initiatives together and maybe find something which somehow follows things we have developed as national cultural institutes and some things you develop on this summit and in the coming months and weeks and years, hopefully.
Madam Xu, the same question really for you. You know, for all of us, China is a hugely important country, and we want to build a new set of relationships. In what way do you believe that the sort of work that we're involved in, what is going to be most effective in building that relationship with China? How does the United States or the United Kingdom or any of our countries, how do we use the cultural relationship to build a stronger relationship with China?
This is a good question. I think that nobody can give you all of our friends the A+ answer.
Yeah.
Because this is even for the Center of Citizen Diplomacy. Also, your age is only 7 years, right? And so 5. Okay, 5 years. That means. Very similar with HANBAN. And what can I say? It is really it is difficult to say how to. Okay, it's not no. It's easy to say. Okay. Through by the culture exchange, we can people to people to get more understanding. It is many examples between Chinese and American. Now I think for HANBAN. For we cooperate with U.S. Universities and also the middle schools. Yes, just now I said we are in a honey period, but still we in a communication way in. Face-to-face or heart-to-heart still have some, because the culture history is different, traditions, many places are not the same. So, for instance, like we sent our teachers, guest teachers, or professors come to U.S. in the beginning half year. All of them, most of them are, even their language, English, are good, but also they feel lonely. Why? Because the Chinese, the character personnel is not close. It's like how can I say? It's shy. And just try and the director say everything present to the partner. And for example, there's one Confucius Institute, and American teacher and Chinese teacher they both of them they give me email, send me an email say, American side say okay, for this project I talked with the Chinese teacher and discussed, and she or he agreed already. But from a Chinese side, the Chinese teacher they gave me an email say, we did not agree. We did not. He or she did not ask me. Or did not discuss with me, and then he sent the agreement project to HANBAN. So I keep my okay. That means disagree. And then I asked the both of them why you say agree, but you say do not agree. And they okay. Finally, I find the communication way is different. The American teacher, he or she usually always use email to say what I want. And if you do not have a question, okay, you will not necessary to answer to me. If you think there is a problem, okay, please answer, give me return. And the Chinese teacher, teachers think, okay, in Chinese way, you must come to face-to-face talk with me, and not directly, maybe okay, around the table like things like that. And you directly give me the email, and it is difficult for Chinese directly say no, I do not agree. And they don't want to write down as a disagree, something like that. So she or he will keep silent and wait for American side to ask face to face to she or him. But the American side say, oh, because I already sent the email, and also I say if you do not have different ideas, that means you agree. So send an email to me, say, okay, we agree. Yeah. So this is a misunderstanding sometimes.
I think it's a really good example of how we make assumptions. The way in which we do business is the way other people do.
Yeah, so we need more patience, and also need know a different, that means multicultural way. It's like American, not American, Western countries, you like the ballet dance, okay? Mm-hmm. That means very light clothes. But in China, Beijing opera, we wear very, very thick clothes, and also with cover the face, real face with a mask. So this is different.
Yeah. It's.
Thank you.
I don't know whether or not we have any questions from the floor. If not, then I have lots more questions to ask here. Perhaps somebody just could collect a couple up, and we'll just have a quick look at those. While that's going on, just Madam Nishimura, one of the things that we've been talking about, and one of the things that several of us have said, is that we're looking for ways to move beyond purely the bilateral towards the multilateral, sharing with organizations in the United States. From the position of the Japan Foundation, thank you, in what way do you think that it's possible to build a partnership with some of the organizations and some of the US institutions which are involved in this?
Mm-hmm. Before answering your question, I just humbly throw your attention that beautiful cherry blossoms in Washington has been donated by Japan 100 years ago, and these trees have been well taken of by the U.S. citizens. And year 2012, we will commemorate the centennial anniversary of the planting of the cherry blossoms in Washington. And coming back to your question, and I think, the Japan Foundation has been already involved in the multilateral efforts. For instance, with the British Council and with the Goethe Institute, we have been tackling the global issues involving the various actors of non-governmental organizations on the themes such as the fostering of peace through cultural activities, or how to enhance social entrepreneurship. And so I think that if we can find a good theme, and if we can find the important mission to share, and I think there's so many issues of common interest already exist. So I think there is a way, and we have already been doing a project like Japan, China, US collaboration to strengthen the sustainable education for sustainable development in China. So the concrete example is already exist. So we welcome any suggestion from the American Citizen Diplomacy Organization to tackle the important global issues together.
Thank you. There's one very good question here. I think we probably only have time to take one of these, but I'm going to ask each of the panelists to answer, because I think it actually goes to the heart of some of the differences between us, which is what do the panelists see as the government's role in citizen diplomacy? And I think with that question you'll get to see a huge amount of national difference between us. But Professor Bilkan, perhaps we could start with you. What do you see as the government's role in citizen diplomacy in cultural relations?
Her şeyden önce şunu söylemek lazım. Siyasi ve ekonomik bakış tarzlarıyla halkların birbirine bakışları her zaman farklıdır.
Well, first of all, I would like to mention that the political point of view is always different than people's point of view about each other.
Özellikle Türkiye ve Amerikan ilişkileri içerisinde değerlendirirsek, benim gibi sık sık Amerika'ya gelenlerin geriye döndüklerinde söyledikleri şey, bir Amerika yok, birçok Amerika var.
And if we analyze it from the point of view of Turkish and American relations, I can tell you this, that there are many people who travel to United States from Turkey frequently, and when they go back, they say that there is no one America, there are many Americas.
Amerika'nın bir imparatorluk refleksiyle yaptığı çok başarılı şeyler var. Bir defa yüzlerce ırkı, dili, dini, kültürü tek bir millet yapmayı becermiş, örnek alınacak bir ülke olduğuna inanıyorum.
I believe that America is an example. It is a country that who housed hundreds of different nations and cultures together, and in a melting pot, America was successful to bring out one nation.
Bu bize uzak olmayan bir ideal, çünkü geçmişte Osmanlı Devleti'nin de imparatorluğunun da buna benzer bir yapısı vardı.
It is not a far process than what we have been through, because we had an empire, Ottoman Empire, and the underlying principles were almost same what people in America achieved until now.
Şimdi her şeyden önce global sorunları global çözümlerle çözmek gerekiyor. Artık hiç kimse Superman filmindeki gibi veya Rambo filmindeki gibi tek başına bütün her şeyi çözebilecek güçte değil. Bunu kabul etmek lazım.
We have to accept that nobody like Superman or in Rambo films able to solve all the problems. There are global problems in front of us, and we have to find global solutions for those global problems.
Ve tıpkı çevre sorunları gibi sosyal sorunlar da birden fazla ülkeyi, hatta kıtaları etkileyici hale geldi.
And like environmental problems, now social problems also became in a way that affecting many nations.
O yüzden sadece sosyal bir problemden tek bir ülke veya bir millet etkilenmiyor. Bütün bir insanlığın etkilendiği sosyal problemler yaşıyoruz.
That is why we have been living in many social problems that affecting not only one nation but many nations.
İşte kamu diplomasisi ve kültür diplomasisi sert ve siyasi söylemlerin aksine yumuşak dokularla hareket etmeyi beceren bir sistem.
So that is why the public diplomacy and cultural diplomacy is different, that it can find solutions to many problems that cannot be solved by political or military means.
Bunun birinci adımı ön yargıları kaldırmak olacak.
The first step in this, we have to forget about prejudice. We should be aware of prejudice.
Ön yargıları kaldırmayı becerdikten sonra özellikle bir milletin müziğini, kültürünü, tiyatrosunu, operasını, sinemasını, yemek kültürünü çok daha yakından tanıma ve kabullenme yolunda açmış oluyorsunuz.
When we overcome all these obstacles, then we are going to be open to other nations with their literature, with their music, with their opera, and with their folk and everything. We will be opening the ways to understand other nations.
Dolayısıyla bu toplantının ve bu görüşmelerin en büyük faydası belki de karşılıklı ilişkileri daha sıkı hale getirip daha çok işbirliğine gitmemiz olacaktır. Teşekkür ederim.
And I believe that this type of meetings will allow us to overcome many obstacles and we bring cultures together and easier.
Thank you. Christoph, same question to you, quickly, because we're running out of time.
I learned from some sessions and panels this morning that citizen diplomacy, which is quite a new term for me, but very interesting, does not mean the same as public diplomacy. And in a way, citizen diplomacy is post-public diplomacy. It's post-branding. It's post-public relations. It may have some public relations effects through being not public relations, hopefully. But the very character of citizen diplomacy, as far as I've understood it is a citizen's initiative. But the state should and certainly will have an interest in this sort of citizens' initiative, and some must find ways and means to support this initiative without changing its character.
Delphine.
I fully agree with this view, and I think indeed governments can't substitute to citizen diplomacy. It can provide maybe the framework. And I will give you two examples, for example, in which France supports exchanges with civil societies and cultural relations. We have our first example is our cultural centers, which depend on the ministry, but they have also a kind of autonomy, and they have as a mandate also to liaise with the people, to create partnerships with the people, to have a dialogue, even to have controversy dialogue on governmental issues. It doesn't matter. But it is also really impulsed by the government. On the second aspect, we have the Alliance Française that you may know. There are 130 Alliance Françaises in the United States. There are 1,000 Alliance Françaises around the world. And they are really citizen initiatives, civil society organizations, which have chosen to promote culture, French language, to promote this cultural dialogue. And they are only supported quite far by the government, but they are really people who have decided to get together and promote this citizen diplomacy.
Thank you. Madam Xu.
Okay, one word.
Yes.
China government, they pay great attention to support citizen diplomacy. That's why HANBAN, we got great support by our government.
Yeah. Madam Nishimura?
Yes, I think the role of government or involvement of government in the citizen activities can be different from country to country. Maybe one of the approach can be, we say usually at arm's length distance from the government. So we are working together toward the same direction, but not too close. Of course, the length of the arms can be different from person to person. But I think that's what we are doing in our country.
Yes, that important statement, how long is your arm, is... Pawel.
Well, I have a certain faith in bumper stickers wisdom. And I'd like to adapt my favorite one for the sake of this gathering. If you think cultural exchange is expensive, try ignorance. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all very much indeed. There's so much more we could talk around this, and we will be having some panel discussions over the next couple of hours, really taking forward this idea, and in particular, I think, asking the question, how can we actually get multilateral working together across different countries, across different sectors, working more effectively in the future. But thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, distinguished panelists. We learned a lot. Certainly love, not marriage, but thank you for sharing your expertise. It is needed in today's global distrust. Citizen diplomacy is a key solution to that. Thank you.